Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025, season 21, episode number 13. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. This is the next to last show. Man, we got a whole group of people out here watching
Hey
today.
guys.
So kids from the neighborhood have come through to see what we're doing here on the air, here on The Break.
This is what you don't want to do for a living for kids.
Go make some money and be happy.
Stay in school, eat your vegetables, get 8 hours of sleep.
There you go. There you go. You just have vitamins? They should take the vitamins?
Take vitamins.
I haven't taken vitamins growing up. I just eat vegetables.
Flintstones, vitamins.
I'm from Natchez. So I don't even know if they have vitamins in Natchez, Mississippi. I don't know. But
They do. My mom grew up there, and yes, I assume they have
in '92,
vitamins.
I ain't seen none. We just got it naturally. We would just eat our vegetables, and that's where we'll get them from.
There you go. Hey, that works. All right, this is our next to last show. We only have one more show before we take a little break here.
Wow.
And, you all right?
That's amazing.
You
Botch and I will still be working, so you can check us out if you want. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll Botch and I will
we're
still
gonna take
be
it.
working.
I always believe that during certain times of the year, and this is the only time of the year,
Yeah.
when the team goes away,
Yeah.
the only time we really have anything to talk about regarding a team is if something bad happens.
Yeah.
That's
You
really
gave me. You have no idea how you just changed my life.
really?
You gave me amazing news. Yes.
Well,
I
good.
have a- yes.
Come on, AG. How long
I
have you
tried.
done this? You know
Yes.
we take a break
But
for a
I
month.
You
forget.
do.
Time just, the timeline wasn't timing.
Yeah, we'll
but
see you
anyways.
back. We'll see you in Oxnard.
Well, we have this week and we have next week, and then we're going to move on and get ready for training camp, and we'll be out in training camp later in July, and we'll have lots of shows teeing up at that time, and then obviously kicking off the season. We'll be back to our normal daily schedule once we hit September. Today, though, I want to talk a little bit about the OTAs that have been happening over the last couple weeks. We had some media availability yesterday, and where I want to start, I have a few observations, just things that were either said or were noticed yesterday, and there aren't questions. I'm just going to throw them out, and I'm just going to free-for-all and let you guys talk about whatever those observations are. Let's start first.
You know your talent is what you do.
I do. Let's start first with Micah Parsons. He was at the Star, but
Yeah.
did not practice yesterday. He is expected, though, to be here next week for the mandatory minicamp.
Mandatory.
As he said, he mentioned that he expects to be here. Stephen Jones was asked about his absence and whether it bothered him. His quote was, "No, that's part of the business. All teams go through it, and that's part of the business." Thoughts?
Man, he said, "I don't want to hear this no more. I don't want to hear any more questions." What is he? The vice president of COO? What is it like? What's his title?
Oh, I'd have
Stephen Jones.
Stephen Jones'
exact
title?
title.
He's got a.
I think it is COO.
Something
CO, yeah.
big,
Oh, no, it's- yeah,
player
Has a C
personnel.
and it
Yeah.
has a O.
He's definitely C-suite and owner and co-owner.
Something
Owner.
fancy. Cowboys doesn't want to talk about Michael Parsons no more. So I imagine that it is frustrating. I imagine that he's sick of hearing about it. But what you gonna do, player? I mean, you gonna give them what they're asking for, or are we gonna continue to play chicken? I think with certain kind of players, I don't think you should negotiate, or you shouldn't try to. Well, can you let me slide on $1 million here, $1 million there? Michael Parsons is arguably one of the best players in football, not just defense, not just edge, the whole football. You can nickel and dime Donovan Wills. I ain't want to say his name. You can nickel and dime some other players. You can nickel and dime some of your new linebackers that you just brought in here, vet minimum, these guys. Look, get ahead of it. Stephen Jones, get ahead of it. Pay them whatever they want, whatever stupid amount of money that's going to make him the highest paid player on defense. TJ Watt will pass it in a little bit. Somebody else will pass it in a little bit. Some new defensive player will make that a deal in 5 years' time. So let's stop playing chicken.
You chose violence today.
Let's stop
No, but
playing
let me
chicken
ask this
with the
question.
best.
Let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Please.
You're making an assumption
Sure.
that whatever the holdup is, or the reason why the deal hasn't gotten done, is because of money.
If I was Steven,
Are you certain that that's the case?
if I was Steven, I would say that. I would like, hey, they don't like XYZ. The money's there. We're offering them because they want to play the.
No, I hear what you're saying. I'm saying, are you sure that that's the case?
I don't know nothing because
Okay, so I guess the point I'm
I
trying to
work
make
on
is,
this hall and I can't leave this hall. I don't know
can't.
nothing.
I guess the point of what I'm saying
Derek
is,
was on the debate team, so he's
no.
gonna debate you.
I just think
and
we
say,
have to be
"Bring
careful.
receipts."
Sure.
I
Bring
think we have to
proof.
be careful when we make assumptions on this kind of stuff because we've seen in the past that some of these things get held up and then you find out later the money wasn't the issue. There were other things that were being negotiated. By the way, Brian, you've seen this. These contracts have a lot of stuff in them. There's a lot of language and a lot of stipulations.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are the things that hold up a deal more so than the money.
So even if in the contract somewhere, Derek asked me, even in the contract
He
somewhere,
said, Brian, you know these contracts.
if,
I did.
if Michael Parsons won an Escalade per year, just say no or say yeah. That's where I'm at with it. Say no or say
And what if he's dug in, I want to Escalade, and they like, man, we're not giving you Escalade, we're giving you $60 million, whatever the number is.
Is the best player in football worth the newest Escalade per year? And if not, you move on, you call somebody, see if you can get some draft picks for one of the best players in the whole league and just go from there. But if not, acquiesce. Do what you got to do. It's gonna suck. You gonna get whooped in the negotiation. You gonna get whooped in the negotiation.
No, Stephen Jones is frustrated right now. He's frustrated.
Nickel and dime Louis.
He can't, and he cannot catch a break. And here everybody's going to say, "Oh, Broaddus, you're going for the Joneses here today." No, I'll tell you the side of it that I believe is the fact that he is in a situation where he cannot get contracts to get staggered. He can't. He's got 2-3 contracts he has to work on every single year. He can't get the contracts staggered, and all of a sudden now he's in a little bit of a situation where all of a sudden he's had to pay for the highest paid. He's had to put out the money for the highest paid. You know, the thing with Lamb, that turned into a negotiation, and it was a holdout and all that. He got the Oso Digizua deal done because they went under market value. He got Diggs money done because they went under a little bit under market value. I think Stephen Jones will negotiate with you. I think you have to also look at the other side. I think you have to look at David Mulugheta in this situation. Why would David Mulugheta even want to take your call? He knows what the guy got at the Raiders. He knows what the guy got at the Browns. He's thinking probably that ballpark. Stephen Jones is now in a situation where, like, even if I keep trying to make offers to these guys, they're going to continue to say no. They're just going to. David Mulugheta has no reason to take his call. That would be very frustrating to me if I was going to try and negotiate a deal like this one and say, listen, see if I could bring this thing in at 37.5 instead of 40, 41, or 42. That would be very frustrating to me. I think that now you have agents that know that the Cowboys are over a barrel. And when it comes to these negotiations, they've done a great job of assembling players for their roster. A great job. Now it comes to having to pay them. But these agents have seen what have happened over the years with these negotiations. It always ends up in the favor of. And and Stephen Jones, I think, when yesterday he lashed out a little bit. You know, he lashed out and said, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I sense frustration because he doesn't get to do what he does best, and that's negotiate.
So these agents, right? And look, Brian, we're not fighting, and we're not fighting there.
No,
but these agents, they represent players all over the league, right? So this is me asking because I don't have the question. I don't have the answers. So why is it that the Lions, right, back to back within 3 weeks we can go, all right, Penei Sewell gets done. All right, Jared Goff gets done. All right, 2 or 3 other people get done. The Eagles, back to back to back to back. They find money. To just pay everybody back to back to back to back. Why are we the only team? It seems like, hypothetically, in Voch's mind, it seems like, oh man, we got to wait till the last minute.
No, you got to get ahead of it. You're right about that.
We got to wait till the last minute for Mike Parsons.
But
Zach Martin.
I think you're in a situation too, though, where these agents are holding him up. I think the deal with Dak Prescott, again, Bryan Broaddus talking here, not anything from DallasCowboys.com or anything I've heard of in the building, but you had Todd France change agencies on these guys. They thought they had a deal, and all of a sudden France changes agencies. Look at all his players that year. They all got franchise tag. He didn't negotiate with anybody because he was leaving one agency to another, and he didn't want to put Dak old business with that old agency. So to me, sometimes you got to catch a break on these things. Sometimes it's not just the Joneses. Sometimes it is the agents. But what does David Mulugheta, why even does he have to take this call? He knows what the numbers are. Steven really can't negotiate with him because those are the numbers. That's what a negotiation's about. Hey, let's see if we could fall under this. Let's see if we could get under that number.
Amber, what you think? Because I'm about to fuss at Bryan again.
I have a couple of things. Number one, you mentioned the Eagles, and it's an interesting point because I think that's the initial perception when you talk or look at what the Eagles have done and start comparing with what the Cowboys have done. Derek and I have been in a meeting where it was somewhat explained to us because it's a very complicated thing. Like, you need it all mapped out because there are so many players on the team, and it just comes in pieces together. And you're not just talking about 1 year, you're looking at multiple years and all of that. But my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, I came out from that meeting with the assumption that every team goes through a certain cycle. You're going to get to a point where the Eagles are not going to be able to do what they've been doing. And then the Cowboys is going to be their turn to kind of reset and restart with this, all these contracts. And again, very complicated topic. Don't know exactly how it works, but I think this is the 1 year in the limited capacity that they've had with the salary cap and everything like that. I think they've been able to manage this offseason really well, in my opinion. Of course, you still need to get this guy done. Micah, we've been talking about it. We're about to go back to training camp. I remember being at training camp last year and him being asked the question about the contract. And something else that I was going to mention was the changing attitude. I can't speak about the conversations that have been done between his agent and Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, and the Cowboys. But one thing that it's clear, and we've been seeing all the way back since training camp, whether it's genuine or not, whether it's fake or real, the fact is Micah has started changing his attitude. Now, sure, looking for that contract, but he started doing things that he hasn't necessarily done before. For example, even though he hasn't been at practice, yesterday was the Cowboys media days. This is a time that Micah, those who know, he don't typically show up to everything. He will not show. And
by the way, he's not the only one. There are lots of high-profile players that say, "I'll do this, I won't do this." That's just the nature.
Yeah. But he's one of those. And then that if he do something, he's not necessarily in the best mood, and you just gotta deal with it. But again, I just want to contrast previous year to right now. Yeah. He showed up yesterday.
Sure.
He showed up, even did some Spanish stuff, which has never in my whole life.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Was he speaking Spanish?
He participated. He did good. He did good.
But I hope he ain't cussing Spanish. Boy, they don't let you know you ain't supposed to say certain word. But on that point,
but the whole thing, I was using it.
By the way, I heard that last week.
I've heard.
Want to do it again?
Yeah.
I thought it meant let's go, but I'm sorry.
No, it does not.
I know.
I really told him off air. And I told him Derek does not approve. So
hey man, it made me laugh for a second.
I was gonna say I also heard from different stations, like the photography station, that he was in a great mood and he did so good. So again, I think the willingness is there. Yeah. That you see some participation, not in full capacity because he's not showing up, and he's already said he'll be there next week, and he said he's going to show up to training camp regardless whether or not he has a contract. But it is something that shows some change and shows some that they're working with. He's not upset necessarily, and he's willing to keep putting in the work in a certain capacity.
Maybe I'm just bothered that, we're in this offseason and we see Myles Garrett say, you know what, I'm sick of this Brown stuff. Yeah. I'm sick of football, and my contract's going to be complex too, but I don't want to be here. I'm leaving. And then next thing you know, Myles Garrett gets this big stupid contract. He's like, boy, Brown for life, y'all. What we doing at quarterback, right? Like just at the, not the snap of your finger, hyperbole, right? But maybe like in a week or 2 weeks, we're going to really wait this whole thing out. And I hope that we don't get to the end of training camp and now we're like, okay, well, Micah hasn't worked out and now he needs 5 weeks.
Well, can I ask a question on that?
Please.
On the Browns, how many big contracts do they have on their roster?
That's fair.
I want to make sure, again.
That's totally fair.
Let's do the full thing. If we're going to use them as the example. No, if we're going to use him as an example, though, I want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. I don't think that's an apples to apples comparison.
Maybe not apples to apples, but in this case, if you're the Joneses and you've paid this player, now your best player, like he's the Browns' best player. So if Micah's one of our top 3 guys and we've paid these, I'm like, man.
But Micah is not and will not be the highest paid player on this team, even when this deal is done.
Even to that point, they knew Micah was coming. You know, they knew that they set it up to where, all right, in this amount of time, this is going to happen. Oh, Michael going crazy. So, by year 3 that he's going to be looking for something. This should have been in their mind. I'm not telling them how to do their job. I didn't go to school for this. Yeah. But I'm just saying maybe there's a way to get around this and maybe nickel and dime somebody else.
I think those are all fair questions. I just want to make sure that we think about it from the standpoint of it's not always just as simple as, well, just go give him whatever he wants. I think there are a lot of things that have to be negotiated, and there are a lot of things that have to be negotiated on both sides. Both parties have to be willing to make the negotiation, as Brian was saying, but there has to be a coming together of ideas for them to actually get the deal done.
There's no sense of urgency for agents to deal with the Cowboys.
That's what I was about to say, Brian.
There's no sense of urgency.
That's what I said.
None. Because what happens is, and to be honest with you about the Browns, you can look at the quarterback, Watson, and then also Denzel Ward, are 2 very high paid guys for them. But you look, there's no sense of urgency. And this is just where we always like to say in the media world, it's a small sample size. It's not a small sample size anymore. It's not. You see how some of the contracts have been done here and how they've been structured. And I don't think it's always fair to the Joneses, but this is where we're at right now. Because agents can wait you out. Nobody wants to have to sit there and deal. They would love to negotiate in good faith with them about Micah Parsons or with Dak Prescott or with CeeDee Lamb or all these guys. We say they wait. We don't always know on the other side. I think agents hold the Cowboys up. I really do. I think Steven, Adam, Todd Williams, everybody that does a contract upstairs, I think they want to negotiate. I really do. I think they want to be a part. We've seen, though, when it's Osa and others, I brought that up. We've seen Diggs when it wasn't the full top deal for corners. We've seen what negotiations look like on certain players. But these top players, though, it has been a struggle. And I don't know. Again, I don't think it's all Dallas Cowboys' fault here. But if I'm an agent and I'm sitting there and I know what type of player Micah Parsons is, I'm not picking up the phone. I'm going to make you wait every single minute on this one.
And that's what's difficult because you do get that sense of, oh, there's no urgency because you don't see things actually happening. Mm-hmm. But even though you're waiting, and we've seen it case after case, at the end of the day, for the most part, they get it done. The Cowboys end up signing who they want to sign.
And that's why Stephen Jones is pissed off right now. Because he doesn't get to do what the Joneses. The Joneses are tremendous. We could talk about all the things that they do on the football side. These folks are billionaires because of businesses that they run. They negotiate. They know how to talk to people. They know how to get deals done. That's something that they're good at. Now they're getting their ass kicked on the football side of things because people are not willing to step to the table and negotiate with them. Because they know that all of a sudden, if you hold them up, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they know they're trying to build a football team here. They felt like they had to have Dak Prescott. That was worth them to put that check in front of Dak Prescott. It's going to be it was worth them to have CeeDee Lamb. They put that check in front of them. They're smart enough to know that their best players need to get paid. They're just not getting to negotiate like they're really good at, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more observations from OTAs. We'll get on the field a little bit, talk about some of the stuff that was happening out there. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code /CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil change, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's Stay in Your Car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Up next, waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. The segment brought to you by blockchain.com. All right, so I was going to take a right, and in the break, I think we decided we want to take a left because we got into a conversation I thought was really interesting. Brian, you teed up the question, and I thought it's a really, really great question. If, let's assume that Pickens has a really great year this year, and you get to next offseason,
right,
and you have to make a decision as the Cowboys on resigning either Deron Bland.
That was your question. Go ahead.
I was going to let him finish.
I'm
sorry. I thought it was Brian.
It was his, but
I was going to let him finish.
My bad.
I really know he likes to.
I was taking credit.
Brian was over there.
No, I'm not going to let you take that.
No, Brian was over there like,
He will not.
It was a great question. Really
I've learned not to interrupt my teammates.
I wasn't going to let you take. Go ahead, please finish the question that Voch posed to the table.
The question is,
dear.
if you had to choose, would you sign Pickens or would you sign Bland? I made the argument.
Pickens got no trouble. No trouble.
By the way, he has a great year.
Yep.
He does exactly what you asked him to be. He comes in. He is a 1B receiver.
Yep.
He has some games that you don't win without him making plays that he makes. All those things.
Yep.
Off the field, there are no problems. He is the model citizen. He's a great teammate. All those things.
Yep.
I still say I go with Bland because I think in terms of replacement value. And the point that I was trying to make is I think, and you guys are talent evaluators, that's what you do with the draft show, so you might have a different opinion. I trust your opinion. But I think there are more talented wide receivers out there than there are talented cornerbacks. I think there is a larger number. So for me, it's harder to go out and replace a Bland than it is to go out and replace a Pickens. That's nothing against Pickens. It's just saying there are more of them out there. It's another reason why you pay, as we were talking about in the first segment, you pay your top flight pass rusher because there aren't a lot of those guys around. Like, it's hard to find those guys.
Sure.
What was the argument you guys were making? Because both of you guys thought you'd take Pickens over Bland.
I'm definitely taking Pickens, and there's a lot of context that I would add to it. First of all, how the Cowboys operate. You know what I mean? Like, we're drafting, and we're not going to go find help outside, okay? We found Pickens outside, but boy, was that rare. So what I'm thinking is if you're winning games, you're going to be drafting late in the first, okay? So those top-tier wide receivers you're mentioning, for the most part, they go 1 to 15. They go really high in the draft. And maybe it's like a new trend or something like that, but all the best corners that me and Brian and, draft guys and gals that we love, those corners end up going later. Joey Porter, Tyrion Arnold, guys, Cooper DeJean, those guys, they end up going later. Trevon Diggs was a round 2 guy for us. Bland was, hidden gem. We ain't going to take credit for that one.
No.
But it's like...
Although y'all did get it right on the draft show. You weren't a part of that, but they did. That was one guy they were touting a lot on the draft show. I remember hearing that. But go ahead.
Wasn't on payroll then. But in my mind, yeah, you can find receivers, and maybe other teams that draft high in the draft can find top-tier receivers. But if you're the Cowboys and you plan on winning and you're in this Dak Prescott window, you're going to be drafting in the daggum 20s. You can't find me a wide receiver in the 20s that's like George Pickens. I think George Pickens is a bona fide dude. Like, he's in that Lamb ilk to me. Maybe not a top 3 guy in the league, but he's in that 12 to 15. Those guys are like top tier 2. I love Bland, but when it was time for Bland to be cornerback 1, DK Metcalf had a lot to say about that. And we had to call Gilly, like, hey, Gilly, can you please take care of this? Or there have been times where, hey, Jordan Lewis was the best corner in our group of corners or whatever, right? I think, just me personally, I think CeeDee Lamb having a running mate is more valuable than your cornerback room being full of guys, so to speak.
I think everything you said is absolutely right. And I say that because, when you look at it, though, overall, though, that's the one thing this team really, really needed. You have this outstanding player in CeeDee Lamb. You have a quarterback that's very capable of getting to the football, but it's just really like the old one-trick pony situation. The fact that they felt like that, hey, we have to go and make a bold move to go get a guy, and they did that. That's bold to go get a guy that people think, might be a little bit of a problem, might be a locker room problem, all these things like that. No, they said, no, we need. It's so important to us to go get a guy that can play outside. Now, what did they do in the draft? They might have addressed the situation, though, with Ravel. And I'm saying this because I think that Ravel kind of falls into the group of guys that I look at how these quarterbacks and the names are like we were talking about, the Cooper DeJeans, the Patrick Surtain, Garrett Williams is a guy that plays very high level there at Arizona. We don't know a lot about him. Trent McDuffie, Derek Stingley. These are guys that have to line up on a weekly basis and cover these big time receivers. But every one of those guys I named are super talented guys. The thing about it is, though, this team needs a wide receiver opposite Lamb, and they went and got one. I think and the thing that's terrifying to me, and I'll just say it one more time, is that he has a great campaign, but then you're not allowed, or you can't go and get him and keep him as part of the offense and get him going with Dak and with CeeDee and helping this team score.
Well, just as much as this team needs a second wide receiver opposite Lamb, we were watching last season when Trayvon Diggs went down. Sure. It ain't nice when you don't have 2, maybe 3 really, really good corners in this league because you will get beat up. And I do think, I agree with you. I think Rebel can certainly make me think a little bit more about whether I would say I can do without Bland. But, man, I still believe in today's NFL, because of all the good, talented wide receivers there are out there, if you don't have a bevy of really good cornerbacks, you are going to be screwed. And I feel like the Cowboys, they stole one with Bland to let him walk away after his first contract, I think would be a travesty.
What you got, Amber?
I gotta start doing hand signals.
I'm sorry.
So I can get some.
I get passionate.
I feel it.
Sorry,
I feel it.
please.
But now it's my turn. Okay. I think we're having this conversation way too soon for my liking. Yeah. Fun conversation, but I think there's still a lot more to see of what actually develops throughout the season. I will say I'm totally with Derek, and I think at the same time, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think both.
Fair. Yeah, you
can
wrong.
make a very valid point for both things. But with DaRon Bland, although you say, and I agree, you could technically find guys to be at corner, but a guy like Bland is not easy to find. Not only is he, the only issue he's had was that injury that he dealt with that kept him out, and that was tough. And you got to look at what the team and the defense can look like without a guy like him. He's been such a solid guy, not a diva. Some corners are very diva-like-ish, very constant, and the type of guy that you want in the locker room. So that is not necessarily always something that you see all the time. And he has, again, that record-breaking season. You cannot forget about that. Something that the Cowboys lacked last year was the turnovers, the interceptions. Sure. And where was Bland? Recovering, and then he got a chance to come back for a little bit, but it wasn't there. And I'm expecting, hopefully, he gets back into that form. He's shown he can do it, and I think he is a game changer for the defense.
I'll help you make your argument here, AG. Philadelphia Eagles were clearly a different team with Cooper DeJean and then Quentin Mitchell. Their defense went from like one of the worst when it came to playing pass defense. If you look at the year before, and they moved on from Maddox and others. They just said, we're not good enough. And what did they do? They drafted 2, Mitchell and then also DeJean, and that made a huge difference in their Super Bowl run. So that is, if you're looking at that side of things, and to be fair, like I say, I just think that to me, with the investment that you've made in your quarterback, you better find a way to help him as much as possible, because we're going to have to get to a point where maybe 2 years from now, where the evaluation is like, and I'm just saying this as the evaluation, and it's not working. We all go through life and we all make these plans and stuff, the things we're going to do, but then in 2 years, 3 years from now, we're saying it's not working. I want to do everything in my power. I've helped him potentially with the play caller now. I've helped him with potentially new offensive line coaches, maybe some new talent at right guard, maybe adding a receiver. But the evaluation at the end of the day, the most expensive evaluation and the most important evaluation is who's playing quarterback. Yeah. And if I don't have George Pickens playing out there, and it's Tolbert and others who I've kind of just every year I've kind of said, I need this guy to improve. I know I got a War Daddy out there playing right now.
And I agree with the concept that if Pickens is not going to be here, you better replace him with somebody who's talented. Because I agree with they need 2 talented wide receivers. I agree with that part of it. I just think if you're faced with, I got to replace a top-notch corner or I have to replace a top-notch receiver, I think you have a better chance of replacing that corner. Replacing that wide receiver than you do that corner in 1 year's draft or in free agency. I just think there are more of them. I just think there's a better chance you can find that guy at wide receiver position than you can find that guy at corner.
Yeah, I'll go flip Miami at 2, and I'll go get Jalen Ramsey.
I think at corner,
he's a Miami Dolphin.
Yeah,
I think I can live without.
Yes, he's a Miami Dolphin.
He's a Miami Dolphin. Yeah.
I think I can live without like a lockdown corner. It'll be cool to have a lockdown corner, but like as long as your corner is not like that.
Well, but Bland ain't a lockdown. I don't call Bland a lockdown corner.
Sure.
Bland is a guy that can get turnovers. And not only that, he can get turnovers and turn them into points. That's what I love about him. And that's the thing that's uncommon about him. Mm-hmm. You go out and try to find that guy, that's a hard guy to replace.
Even if he's like a regular degular guy that just doesn't get
regular degular.
Like he doesn't get picks at all. Like even he's just a regular. Okay, cool, just don't get whooped. Because in real life, Revel may be that this year. I think highly of him as a prospect, but year one
I think they
Revel
might have stole one there. Maybe personally, yeah, sure. I do. I think so.
But I'm thinking like year 2 or 3 Revel for that. Like year 1 Revel may just be a solid, cool, good corner. Yeah. I'm cool with a solid, cool, good corner. The Cowboys are gonna have to play against teams that put points on the board, regardless of who you got lined up at corner. Because we got corners,
and if you're intercepting them,
and we have Trevon Diggs caught 11 picks in 1 year, and Bland can lead the league in pick 6 and all that, and teams will still find a way to put 30 and 40 on you. I think you need firepower to match that. That's just my own take.
All right, we're going to take our final break. We will come back. We got some more observations. Maybe we get to them. Maybe we find something else in the break we want to talk about. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions? For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything.
For sure.
Welcome back.
You want to talk about what we were talking about in the off?
I was about to say, are we going there? We're not going to go there.
Not going to go there.
No, we were just talking about family. We're talking about family. Got a lot of kids in the building today. Summer camp's rolling through, doing tours. So I keep seeing a lot of kids in the building. Thank you for coming.
Stay out of the media.
And enjoy your summer camp. Let's talk about a couple other observations that we had from OTAs. Let's go on the field. Malik Hooker, he left practice during warmups. Actually, he was having supposedly reports are he was having back spasms. Nothing serious that I've heard. But that being said, I thought the interesting thing was Elijah Clark is a name that I started seeing him get some work in previous weeks. He got more work yesterday with Hooker out. Even Wanye Thomas, a safety, they had him kind of working in the slot a little bit yesterday. Talk to me first about Elijah Clark. What have you seen from him? What kind of scouting report can you give on him? Because he seems to be a guy that, as an undrafted free agent, is at least getting some opportunities.
Versatile player. Tackler, very active in the run game, kind of long, lines up everywhere, deep, strong, nickel. I don't know if he's going to have a whole bunch of nickel in the league, but at Syracuse they did it. Pretty rangy player, active, I wouldn't put him at a one high rangy guy, but he could be like a two high rangy type guy. Cool player.
Yeah, this is a guy that
he's all right. You're like, cool player.
You talk to people in the organization. Usually, when they go after these guys, usually when it's when you can. And this is one of those cases you can actually follow the money a little bit. But here was one of the guys that got one of the larger signing bonuses, if you want to say, of the rookie undrafted guys. And so that told me that he's somewhere between the 5th and 6th round on their board, what they were able to do. So here they are picking off guys that are on their draft board. I think Voch gave you the right thumbnail about this kid. He looks kind of like a corner. He's 6'1", he's 188, the way he's built. But he is one of those guys that he does play downhill. He does tackle well. I think he saw the field pretty well. You talk about the range and what his ability. Matt Eberflus playing a little more single high with some of the stuff. He'll play the two, but the single high. And you could do that with this guy. So I don't know how much you want to put him in coverage stuff underneath. The nickel corner kind of slot player, I don't think that's his cup of tea. But you talk about a guy that's physical, downhill, and willing to throw his body in there and make tackles. But he's a smart guy too, because this is not the first time that we've seen him get work with the first defense. One of the first times the observations that we've been able to make in camp, he was kind of working in. So this tells me they like this kid, sat on their board at a pretty high spot to be drafted, didn't get it done. They went and got him, probably a smart kid. They're now putting him in there and seeing how much he could really learn. Throw a lot of things at him, and then when they get to camp, you could really see what kind of player you have in him.
But you can start just by looking at practice and seeing that, and the fact that he's been given those opportunities. That's already telling enough that that's someone, they really, really like, because you don't tend to see, at least from my experience, you don't see that a whole lot during this time of the year until you get maybe to training camp and you see more of those battles on the second team and all of that. But again, for someone that's undrafted, which, is not, you're taking somebody else's spot that's ahead of you, quote unquote, that tells you a lot that he's putting in the work, and I would expect and think that it also goes to what they're doing in the classroom, what they're studying in those meeting rooms. that it's from the head, being smart, and those also, when they're like that in the I'm rambling here. What I'm trying to say.
Welcome to my world.
When the mind is there and you're putting in the textbook work, it creates more opportunities for you on the field.
The mental
so
reps,
it again, it's just the 2-on-2, and it's a guy that we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on.
The one interesting one, though, I think you need to look at, though, is we mentioned Parsons earlier in the broadcast. Donovan Ezeraku has been playing a little bit of Micah Parsons' role at practice, playing that linebacker, the rush guy.
One there next. Good job.
I'm sorry about
that.
No,
it's good. It's great.
If you have
go ahead. Go.
But yeah, I think that to me, I always look and see where guys are lining up where we're playing. Voch and I were doing our show last night, the Doing All Right podcast, and we were talking about with Elam, and it seems like that every practice, that we've been able to watch, Elam's making plays. Well, then, okay, where's guys lining up now? Oh, rookie, Ezeraku. Oh, wait, no Micah Parsons. Oh, wait, he's standing up. Oh, he's playing outside as a rusher. They're kind of seeing if he could take those Micah Parsons type snaps. And maybe if you have a situation where Micah does get tired or it has to come off the field, that maybe Ezeraku, in their mind, is going to be a guy that they could plug in and play in those spots.
Yep. Real quick, I also wanted to mention as a part of the conversation we're having with regarding Elijah Clark. This often happens sometimes when you get a new coordinator in. Mm-hmm. They have different schemes, and so you'll start to notice that some guys that may have been a part of the previous regime, maybe they may not have necessarily the particular skill set that the new coordinator would want. What do you guys know about how, let's say, Zimmer chooses to use safeties versus maybe how Flus uses safeties, and maybe if there are any differences that we should be paying attention to as we're watching these safeties during training camp?
Yeah, a lot of single high stuff with Flus, and he comes from that. Originally, he was with the Rob Ryan administration, and then he's transitioned into the Rod Marinelli, who would play a lot of cover two. That we always talk about the Tampa 2 stuff. But you see, if you look at the metrics, he's a single high guy, is what he is. So
you're talking about Flus.
Flus, yeah. So he's at the Bears. They were doing a lot more single high stuff there. But it was like, say, with Zimmer, it was a lot of just a lot of that where he was playing the single high stuff, and then he was kind of adjusting for what he had to do.
So similar from what they're asking.
Similar, but more. I think even more with Flus. Flus is a ton of zone defense stuff where Zimmer was more a lot man.
Zim wanted to do everything.
Yeah, Zim wanted to do everything.
Flus is going to hyper focus on
exactly. And see, I think guys too. Like, I want to say this. I think that a guy like Wanye Thomas gets a fresh breath of air with a new coaching staff. I remember talking to Mike Zimmer about this last year at training camp and asking him about how he liked Donovan Wilson and Hooker and all that. And he was really, really on board with both players. But then we have a change in the coaching staff, and now you see, what happens. We get tender offers, we get contract offers. You get Thomas signed, you get Bell signed. That's telling me that Flus and these guys have come in and making an influence that way, that they like what they've seen with these two guys. And so now they're going to get more of an opportunity. This might not bode well for a guy like Sam Williams, who is also in that situation. He's trying to get healthy, but now his sponsors are kind of out the door right here. So, there's a lot going on here, when it comes to coaching staff. Sometimes guys go, whew, got a new chance. And the other guys go, damn, my guy's gone.
Some guys can't get hurt. Like, some guys do not have the luxury to get hurt. Like, there are some veterans to where they feel like, I leave and I come back, I'll still be fine. There's a lot of young safeties in this room or in that safety room that are just waiting for an opportunity. And I think if they get on the field, I think it's going to be really hard for you to get them off the field. There's a lot of guys in that linebacker room that are fighting for their life, competing. So if you're like an old veteran linebacker.
Like Damone Clark.
If Damone Clark, you've been on this team for a long time.
Interception yesterday,
And you got some guys that have been drafted last year, drafted this year, some
signed guys, yeah.
Signed two guys, yeah.
Some of y'all can't afford to miss a week here, a week there. You got to stay healthy.
Yeah, I
Training
think that
camp, no veteran day off this year. That's
easy for you to say.
What do you mean?
Those veterans I need a day off every once in a while.
Nah, not this year. Not this year.
Marquise on the way, Wanye on the way.
I'll tell you, if there's something I would like to see, though, the training camp practices, something like that. Training camp practices, I'm interested to see how those are going to go, but I really do want to see in preseason, though, more veteran players play. I would like to see more of how is this going to work? How is this going to look?
You have to. I don't see how you don't with what you got waiting for you on week 1.
Zeke did it and it made me sick.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I do think obviously this year they're starting on Thursday night, opening the season against the defending champs.
Gotta do something.
I do think that I will be interested to see if they look at preseason. Now, part of it might just be the coach has a different philosophy, right? We got a new coach, but I would love to see. I want to see how they address that, and if they're willing, at least give them a few reps as veterans, because these last couple of years, it's been like literally they just don't play.
I do not have any thoughts of like. To me, I look at like I was with Andy Reid and what he does at Kansas City, and obviously they've had success. So they have Pat Mahomes and a lot of other things going for them there. But there's some teams that absolutely take preseason seriously in that way and get evaluations. And then there's some teams like the Rams. That guy does not care about what's going on in preseason. But I think Dallas, me personally, this is being selfish. I want to see this offensive line play together. I want to see him have a little. I want to see if Miles Sanders really can. I mean, the last couple of times we've had media availability, Miles Sanders has come out as a guy that's got some juice to his game. I'd love to see him run the ball a little bit, and see if in fact that we get some blocking and some protection and go that route and kind of have a little positivity going into that Thursday night game.
Yeah, between all the new coaches and all the new players, I almost think you have to in order to just get them prepared for the upcoming season. It's one thing we have a veteran team that's pretty much stayed together for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case might be. But this team feels like there's so much newness that I just feel like it might be necessary.
I think some of the slow starts they've had offensively have been because they don't play preseason games. That's just me.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. That's a wrap. We'll be back next week. We'll wrap this thing up for this offseason and then start getting you guys ready for training camp. Till then, for Voch Lombardi, Bryan Broaddus, and Ambar Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!